Hello, my dear friends. I am Sanjay Chawla from Sanskrit College, Kota. The topic for today's session is formal communication. This topic is prescribed for English literature students of Shastri first year. So let me assure you that I shall be talking in very simple English. Don't worry, you will understand each and every word. So here we go. First of all, let me give you a definition of formal communication. We should know what we mean by formal communication. Formal communication means interchange of information officially. It is not a friendly communication. It takes place in offices. It is between officers and employees. Now let us see what the features of formal communication are. Number one, it follows set rules and procedures. The rules are set, the procedures are fixed. You have to follow them. Remember, it is not a friendly talk. Second, it is common at educational institutions, workplace, and business concerns. It takes place in schools, colleges, government and private offices, and commercial places. Next, it can be written or oral. You can write official letters, present reports, or give memos. If you are in a meeting, you will communicate orally. Orally. The officers can talk to the employees or the employees can discuss their demands. Hence, lastly, it is not a personal communication. You are not talking to your friends. You are at an office. So it has to be formal. Now we shall talk about types of formal communication. Formal communication is of two types. Number one, vertical communication. This is vertical. This vertical communication can be downward communication or upward communication. Downward, upward. When the officers communicate with the lower offices or employees, it is downward communications. Officers communicating with lower officers or employees is a downward communication. When the lower employees communicate with the higher officers, it is upward communication this way. The second type of communication is horizontal communication. When the officers or employees of the same rank communicate with one another, it is horizontal communication. In downward communication, the higher officers communicate with their subordinates who are working with them. So, what do they do in this type of communication? They give orders, they tell them the rules, they pass some information, they talk about the policies of the office, and they may give some instructions. So, how is it useful for the subordinates, the lower staff? They get timely information. They can't say, we did not know about this rule. Nobody told us about this policy. We did not have this information, or nobody gave us this instruction. No such excuses. In upward communication, the subordinates communicate with their superiors. So what is there in this communication? It includes suggestions, reactions, reports, complaints, etc. We may have some suggestions for the betterment of the office. We may not like some of their instructions. So we may give our reactions. We may have been asked to give some report. So we present our report. Or we may have some complaints to make. So this is upward communication. So how is upward communication helpful? It helps the superiors in taking decisions. They know what the juniors want. They try to understand what you have written in your reports. They know about your complaints. So if they want, they can take some decisions. Now we come to horizontal communication. This communication is between two persons of the same level. It is used to solve mutual problems. We may have some problems which can be solved by communicating with each other. We may also learn from experiences of one another. So, what all is there in horizontal communication? It includes information, request, suggestions, mutual problems, and coordination related information. Coordination. In an office, we have to work in coordination. I help you, you help me, we work together to complete a task. This is coordination. Now, what are the advantages of formal communication? Why do we need formal communication? Number one, maintenance of the authority of the officers. The officers are your boss. They will give you some orders, instructions, etc. Won't they? It is their authority. So formal communication maintains the authority. Number two, clear and effective communication. Most of the formal communication is written. Everything is mentioned clearly. So it is very effective also. Number three, orderly flow of information. The information is in order. It is systematic. There is no confusion. The subordinates know what the officers want, and the officers know what the subordinates want. Number four, easy knowledge of source of information. I repeat, easy knowledge of source of information. Who gave this order? Who wrote this report? When was this instruction given? Everything is clear. Now, along with the advantages, there are some disadvantages also of formal communication. So here are the disadvantages of formal communication. Number one, overload of work. Overload of work. It consumes much of the time. Too much time is wasted in formal communication. Meetings, letters, complaints, suggestions. Sometimes it is too much. Number two, distortion of information. Information passes through many hands and becomes distorted. The boss gives the information to the section officer. Then he will pass it on to the subordinates. So sometimes we misunderstand the information. The meaning was different, but we think it means something else. This is distortion. Number 3, indifferent officers. We have often seen that the officers are mostly indifferent. They are not bothered. They think that these employees are always complaining. They don't want to work. Some officers do not pay attention to the suggestions and complaints. So they are indifferent to the subordinates. So the subordinates lose faith in this effectiveness. They think formal communication is useless. Now, let us discuss different methods of formal communication. Number 1, written job description when you start a new job. When you start a new job, you are given a job chart. It gives in detail what all your duties are. Number 2, an invitation to an event. An event is going to happen in the future. So a formal invitation is given to all the members of the staff. This is again a formal communication. Number 3, a written notice. The officer can give a notice to the subordinate. Sometimes the employees also give notice to the boss. For example, if they are going on strike or something like that, they give notice. Number 4, bank statement. A bank also gives a written statement of your account. All your debits and credits and the balance. This is formal communication. Again, a formal communication. Number 5, job application. You have to apply for some job. You write an application in a set format. Number 6, tender notice. You have to purchase some costly items for the office. You will invite tenders from various firms so that you get good quality items at minimum price. This is tender notice. Number 7, business emails, letters, business letters. This is also very common. Number 8 is formal official meeting. Meetings are very important for proper communication. Whatever resolutions are taken in a meeting, they are written and signed by all. Number 9, reports. You are also asked to write some report of anything that you were asked to observe. You made an observation, you did some inspection, then you write your report. It is also written in a set format. Lastly, letter to editor. You write your thoughts about some political, social, or any such issue. You want people to know about your thoughts. So you write a letter to the editor in a newspaper in a proper way, in a set way. So now I believe you have a sufficient idea of formal communication. Won't you like to do some exercise? Now you can attempt the questions related to the topic from the following books prescribed in your syllabus. First is English at Workplace. This is edited by Soni, Panja, and Verma. Publisher is Macmillan. And the other book is Vandana R. Singh, The Written Word by Oxford University Press. You can do some exercises from these two books. Thanks.